Brenda Chastain had been staring at the bottle of 2015 Chateau Margaux for 30 minutes, trying to work up the courage to write 3 words, just 3 words, on a small card that she'd attach to the most expensive bottle in her collection. Make a wish. Simple, innocent enough that if he didn't feel the same way, she could pretend it was just a birthday gesture from an old acquaintance. But loaded enough that if he did, and God, she hoped he did, it might finally break 3 years of silence that had been slowly killing her. Her hands shook as she picked up the pen. Brenda, that wine has been sitting on your desk for a week. Yuki Tanaka appeared at her shoulder, arms crossed over her burgundy blouse. Either send it or put it back in the cellar. It needs to be perfect, Brenda said, adjusting the black ribbon for the 4th time. The dim light of Refuge's back office cast shadows across the bottle, making the vintage label gleam. It's his birthday. It's his 35th birthday. You've missed 3 of them already. Yuki pulled up a chair, forcing eye contact. Her dark eyes were sharp, knowing. What are you really afraid of? That he won't want me back, Brenda whispered. The words hurt coming out. That 3 years ago I made the right choice, and this is just wishful thinking. Or, Yuki said gently, you're afraid he will want you back, and then you'll have to decide if you're brave enough to live in his world. Brenda looked at her friend and business partner, Yuki, who'd escaped Yakuza connections herself, who understood what it meant to love someone dangerous, who'd helped Brenda build this wine bar into something more than just a business, a sanctuary for people running from the exact kind of life Kang Min lived. What if loving him gets him killed? Brenda asked, her voice barely audible over the hum of the wine cellar's cooling system. What if I'm poison to everyone I touch? Your father's death wasn't your fault. Yuki's voice went firm. Kang Min's enemies aren't your responsibility. And this, she gestured at the wine, the card, the carefully wrapped package. This is you finally choosing to live instead of hide. Brenda picked up the pen again. The weight of it felt enormous. 3 words, 3 years, 3 chances at a different ending. She pressed the tip to the cardstock and began to write in careful script. Make a wish. Send it, Yuki said quietly. Before you change your mind. He probably won't even remember me. Even as Brenda said it, she knew it was a lie. Some connections didn't fade. Some men didn't forget. Brenda. Yuki's voice went hard. That man bought this building 6 months ago. He owns the restaurant next door, the hotel across the street, and the parking garage behind us. He's been circling you for a year, waiting for you to surface. He remembers. Brenda's hand froze over the card. What? I did my research before partnering with you. Kang Min has been buying property in a 5-block radius of your bar for the last 18 months. He's looking for you. Has been since you left. The pen slipped from Brenda's fingers. He's been looking every day for 3 years, according to my sources. Yuki leaned closer. So yes, send the wine, because he's already found you. He's just been waiting for you to come back. The first time Brenda had seen Kang Min had been 3.5 years ago. She'd been 25, fresh from the FBI Academy, assigned to the prosecution team targeting Kang International's money laundering operations. She'd walked into that federal courthouse with her father's badge heavy in her pocket and righteousness burning in her chest. Then Kang Min had walked in, tall, elegant in a navy suit, moving through his legal team like a blade through water. Confidence without arrogance, power without performance. He'd taken his seat at the defense table, and for one unguarded moment, his eyes had met hers, dark, intelligent, and looking at her with an interest that made her stomach flip. Oh no. The second meeting, 2 months later, her supervisor had sent her to negotiate a plea deal. Just her and Kang Min in a conference room with glass walls and terrible coffee. They talked for 3 hours. About the case, yes, but also about her time at Quantico, his business degree from Wharton, her love of wine, his mother's vineyard in Napa. When he'd walked her to her car, he'd said, "Have dinner with me." "I can't. You're a target in an active investigation." "Then I'll wait," he'd said simply, "until I'm not." The third time, the case had been dismissed. Technicality, illegal search, evidence thrown out. Kang Min had appeared at her apartment that night with flowers and a bottle of 2015 Chateau Margaux. "You waited," she'd said, staring at him in her doorway. "I told you I would." She'd invited him in. They'd opened the wine. And by the time the bottle was empty, Brenda had made a choice that would change everything. 6 months. 6 perfect, impossible months of loving a man she shouldn't want, who wanted her with an intensity that both terrified and thrilled her. He told her he was leaving the organization, going completely legitimate, building a life they could share openly. Then her father had found out. "You're sleeping with the enemy," Director Michael Chastain had said, looking at his daughter like he didn't know her. "He's leaving. He's going legitimate for me." Men like him don't leave. They just pull you in deeper. 2 weeks later, her father was dead, killed during a raid on a rival organization, caught in crossfire, meant for someone else. Brenda had stood at his funeral knowing her love had gotten him killed. If she hadn't been with Kang Min, her father wouldn't have been investigating that organization, wouldn't have been in that building, wouldn't have died. She'd left Kang Min a note and disappeared the same day. "I'm sorry. Forget me." He'd been waiting at her apartment that night, ready to announce his exit from the organization, ready to start their new life. He'd found only 4 words on her counter. Now, 3 years later, Brenda stood outside Azure Restaurant with the wine bottle in her hands, trying to breathe. She'd chosen this place carefully, neutral ground, public enough to be safe, private enough to talk. She'd called ahead, reserved the best table, sent word through careful channels that she had a birthday gift for Mr. Kang. His security team had called back within 10 minutes. He would see her. The door opened. A man in a dark suit appeared, late 30s, alert eyes, security detail. "Miss Chastain," he said. "Not a question." "I'm not an agent anymore," Brenda replied automatically. "Once FBI, always FBI." He gestured for her to follow. "Mr. Kang is expecting you." She followed him through the restaurant, past tables of elegantly dressed diners who didn't look up, through a hallway lined with abstract art, to a private room with frosted glass, doors. "He's alone," the guard said. "You have 30 minutes. That's not much time. It's more than he's given anyone else in 3 years. The guard opened the door. "Don't waste it." Brenda walked in, and there he was. Kang Min sat at a table set for 2, wearing a black suit jacket over a crisp white shirt, sleeves rolled to his forearms. Older, sharper, more dangerous than she remembered. The years had carved lines at the corners of his eyes, added steel to his jaw. But his eyes, God, his eyes were exactly the same. dark, intelligent, and locked on her like she was the only thing in the room. Brenda, his voice, low and controlled, saying her name like a prayer and an accusation. Hello, Min. She moved to the table on legs that felt unsteady, set down the wine between them. Her hands were shaking. She clasped them together to hide it. Happy birthday. He didn't look at the wine, didn't move, just watched her with an intensity that made her skin burn. 3 years, he said, finally, each word measured, precise. 3 years of silence, no explanation beyond 4 words. 3 years of searching every city, every database, every possible location. His jaw tightened. And you show up on my birthday with wine like nothing happened. I know. You know. He laughed, bitter and sharp. You know. Do you know that I stopped the exit announcement? That I stayed in the organization because leaving without you felt pointless? He stood slowly, moved around the table with the grace of a predator. Do you know that I bought every building within 5 blocks of your bar because I knew you'd surface eventually, and I wanted to be close when you did? Yuki told me. Yuki. He stopped 3 feet away, close enough to touch, too far to reach. Your partner. I've had eyes on her for 6 months, waiting for you to trust someone enough to get careless. I was never careless. No, you're too well trained for that. He gestured at her, taking in her blue dress, her careful posture, the way she stood with weight on her back foot, ready to run. Your father taught you well. How to disappear, how to run, how to leave without a trace. His voice dropped. Did he teach you how to come back? He died, Min. The words came out raw, ripped from somewhere deep. 2 weeks after I warned him about us, killed in a raid on your enemies, and her voice broke. I destroyed everything he built because I fell in love with you. Silence. The air between them felt electric, dangerous. Kang Min's expression shifted. Pain, understanding, fury, all fighting for control. So you left, he said quietly. To punish yourself. To protect you. By breaking both our hearts? Yes. He reached for the wine bottle, pulled the card free with careful fingers, read the 3 words she'd written in her careful script. Make a wish, he read aloud. Brenda waited, heart in her throat, barely breathing. Kang Min looked up at her, and for the first time in 3 years, she saw something besides control in his eyes. Hope. Raw, dangerous hope. I already know what I wish for, he said. What? The word came out as barely a whisper. He moved closer, close enough that she could smell his cologne, cedar and something darker, familiar. Close enough that she could feel his warmth, see the pulse beating at his throat. You, he said simply. I wish for you. I've wished for you every day for 3 years. His hand came up slowly, cupped her face with a gentleness that made her eyes burn. But the question isn't what I want, Brenda. The question is whether you're brave enough to stay this time. She leaned into his touch, tears spilling over despite her best efforts to hold them back. I don't know, she whispered. I don't know if I can survive in your world. I don't know if loving me will get you killed. I don't know anything except that leaving you was the worst mistake of my life, and I'm terrified that coming back will be the second worst. Then let me make it easy. Kang Min pulled a card from his jacket pocket. Worn, creased from being carried for years. Her card, the one she'd left him 3 years ago. I'm sorry. Forget me, he read. Then he tore it in half. The sound of ripping paper was sharp in the quiet room. I never forgot, he said, dropping the torn pieces on the table between the wine and the new card. I never stopped looking, and I never stopped wanting you. He took both her hands in his. So here's my counteroffer. Stay. Not forever, not with promises neither of us can keep. Just stay for 30 minutes. Have wine with me. Talk to me. And if at the end of that, you still want to run. He paused, squeezed her hands gently. I'll let you go, he finished. But this time, you won't leave me guessing. You'll tell me to my face that you don't want this. Brenda looked at their joined hands, at the wine on the table, at the torn pieces of her old note scattered like confetti beside the new one, at the man she'd loved and left and never stopped missing. 3 years of running, 3 years of hiding, 3 years of pretending she could live without him. 30 minutes, she agreed, voice shaking. Kangmin smiled, small, real, devastating. Then sit, Brenda Chastain. He released one hand to pull out her chair. And let's see if we can fix what we broke. He opened the wine with practiced ease, the same bottle from their first night together, the same vintage, same vineyard, same promise. I choose you. She sat. He poured 2 glasses. And for the first time in 3 years, Brenda Chastain let herself hope. Before we find out what happens next, if you're loving Brenda and Kangmin's story and haven't subscribed yet, now's the perfect time to hit that button. I'd love to know. What are you doing right now while listening to this? Making dinner? Commuting? And what city are you tuning in from? Drop a comment and let me know. Okay, back to the story. Why this wine? Kangmin asked, settling into the chair across from her. Because it's the same bottle we shared the first night you came to my apartment, Brenda said. The night I chose you over everything I'd been taught to believe. And now I'm choosing you again. She picked up her glass, met his eyes over the rim. But I need you to know what you're getting. I'm not the same woman who left. I'm harder now, more careful. I carry a gun everywhere. I watch every exit. I built my business to be a safe house for people running from the exact world you live in. I know what your bar really is, Kangmin said calmly. Refuge, witness protection, unofficial safe house, off-the-book sanctuary. Very noble. You knew? I know everything about you, Brenda. Where you live, what you do, who you help, how you take your coffee. He leaned back, glass in hand, watching her. I've known for 8 months. Her breath caught. Then why didn't you? Because you needed to come to me, he interrupted. If I'd forced this confrontation, you would have run again. And I couldn't survive watching you leave twice. He took a slow sip of wine. So I waited, bought property around you like a net, close enough to feel you near, far enough not to scare you away. That's... Brenda didn't know whether to be touched or terrified. That's obsessive. I prefer devoted. He set down his glass. But yes, 3 years will do that to a man. I don't deserve you. No, he agreed easily. You deserve someone safe, someone clean, someone whose name doesn't come with danger attached. He leaned forward, held her gaze. But you don't want someone safe. You want me. The same way I want you, dangerously, completely, with full understanding of what it costs. Min, 30 minutes are almost up, he said softly. So here's the decision, Brenda. Stay or go. But know that if you stay, I'm not letting you run again. If you stay, we do this properly. No hiding, no separate lives, no one foot out the door. Her heart hammered against her ribs. The wineglass felt heavy in her hand. This was it. The moment that would define everything. Stay or go, risk or safety, love or loneliness. She thought of her father, of the guilt that had chased her for 3 years. She thought of the empty apartment she went home to every night. She thought of Yuki's words. He's been looking for you every day. She thought of the way Kang Min looked at her, like she was precious and essential and worth waiting for. She set down her wineglass with a soft click. "I'll stay," she whispered. The change in him was immediate. The careful control dropped away, replaced by something fierce and tender and entirely focused on her. He stood, moved around the table, pulled her to her feet and into his arms in one fluid motion. "Say it again," he demanded against her hair. "I'll stay." "For how long?" "I don't know. Tonight, tomorrow, as long as I can be brave enough. Then I'll help you be brave." He pulled back enough to see her face, cupped her, jaw in both hands. "Every day, for as long as it takes for you to believe this is real." Then he kissed her, and Brenda remembered, God, she remembered, what it felt like to be wanted like this, to be held like she was something precious, to taste promise and possibility and 3 years of longing in a single kiss. When they broke apart, both breathing hard, she rested her forehead against his. "Take me home," she said. "Your home or mine. I don't care. Anywhere you are." Kang Min smiled against her mouth. "Then let's go home, Brenda. And this time, let's not waste any more time." He kept one arm around her waist as they walked out of Azure, past his security team, into the cool night air where a black Mercedes waited at the curb. Brenda slid into the back seat beside him, and as the car pulled away from the restaurant, she realized something. She wasn't looking over her shoulder, wasn't planning an escape route, wasn't cataloging exit strategies. For the first time in 3 years, she was just here, present, choosing this moment, this man, this chance. The wine bottle sat between them on the seat, the card still attached. Make a wish. She had. And for tonight, at least, it was coming true. "What are you thinking?" Kang Min asked, his hand finding hers in the darkness. "That I'm terrified," she admitted, "and that I've never been more sure of anything in my life." "Good," he said, "because neither have I." The Mercedes turned onto the highway, carrying them toward whatever came next. Together, finally, Kang Min's penthouse occupied the top 3 floors of a building that overlooked Central Park. Floor-to-ceiling windows wrapped around the living space, offering a view of Manhattan that made Brenda's breath catch. Glittering lights stretching endlessly in every direction, the city alive and breathing below them. "It's beautiful," she said softly, standing at the glass while he poured them each another glass of wine. "I bought it 2 years ago," Kang Min said, coming to stand beside her. "After I found out you were in the city, I wanted to be able to see as much of it as possible, as if seeing more would somehow help me find you." She turned to look at him. "Did it work?" "Eventually." He handed her the glass. "Though I think you found me more than I found you. I was always going to come back. The admission felt dangerous. I just didn't know how. And now that you're here," his free hand traced the line of her jaw. "What happens now, Brenda?" "I don't know," she whispered. "I haven't thought past tonight." "Then don't." He set both their glasses down on the windowsill. "Don't think, don't plan. Just be here with me." When he kissed her this time, it wasn't the desperate claiming from the restaurant. This was slower, deeper, a promise that had waited 3 years to be fulfilled. His hand slid into her hair, tilting her head back, and Brenda let herself fall into it, into him, without the voice in her head screaming about consequences. They made it to his bedroom in a trail of discarded clothing and whispered confessions. "I missed you," he said against her collarbone. "Every day, every hour." "I missed you too," she breathed, her fingers tangling in his dark hair. So much it hurt. "Then don't leave again." "I won't. Promise me." "Min, promise me, Brenda." He pulled back enough to look at her, and the vulnerability in his eyes undid her completely. "I need to hear you say it." "I promise," she said, and meant it with everything in her. "I won't leave again." He made love to her like he was trying to memorize every inch of her, like he couldn't quite believe she was real, like he was terrified she'd disappear if he stopped touching her. And Brenda held him just as tightly, this dangerous, powerful man who'd waited 3 years for her to be brave enough to come back. Later, wrapped in Egyptian cotton sheets with his arm around her waist, she whispered into the darkness, "I was so scared tonight. Of me. Of this. Of wanting you so much. Of knowing that being with you means choosing a life I swore I'd never touch again." Kangmin's arm tightened around her. "I'm leaving it all, Brenda. The organization, the violence, everything. I've been transitioning out for the last 2 years. Another 6 months, and I'll be completely legitimate." She turned in his arms to face him. "You're really doing it." "I started the process 3 years ago, the day before you left." His thumb traced her cheekbone. "I was going to tell you that night that I'd made the announcement to my board, set the timeline, begun transferring control, that I was choosing you over everything else." Guilt twisted in her chest. "Min, I'm so. Don't apologize. Not for that." He kissed her forehead. "You left because your father died, because you thought loving me had killed him. I understand that now. Do you forgive me?" "There's nothing to forgive. You were in pain. You ran." He pulled her closer. "But you came back. That's what matters." She buried her face in his chest, breathing in the scent of him, cedar and warmth and home. "I'm still scared," she admitted. "So am I." You're never scared." "I'm terrified," he corrected. "Terrified you'll change your mind. Terrified something will happen that makes you run again. Terrified I'll wake up and you'll be gone." "I'm not going anywhere." "Then prove it." He tilted her face up. "Move in with me. Tonight. Tomorrow. This week. Don't go back to your apartment. Stay here." The request made her heart race. Panic and desire tangled together. "That's too fast. It's 3 years too slow. Min, I'm not asking you to marry me tomorrow," he said. "I'm asking you to wake up beside me, to have coffee with me in the morning, to come home to me at night, to stop living half a life in hiding. I need time." Something flickered in his eyes, hurt, frustration, but he nodded. "How much time?" "I don't know. Can we just take this one day at a time?" "One day at a time," he repeated, voice carefully neutral. "Fine. But Brenda." "Yes?" "I meant what I said at the restaurant. If you run again, I won't chase. I can't go through that twice." The words were gentle but absolute, a boundary drawn in sand. "I understand," she said quietly. He kissed her once more, soft and lingering, then pulled her against his chest. "Sleep," he murmured. "We'll figure out the rest tomorrow." But Brenda lay awake long after his breathing evened out, staring at the city lights beyond them, windows, wondering if she was brave enough to keep the promise she'd made. Morning came too quickly. Brenda woke to sunlight streaming through windows and the smell of coffee. She was alone in the massive bed, wrapped in sheets that cost more than her monthly rent. For a moment, panic seized her. This is wrong. I shouldn't be here. I need to leave. But then Kang Min appeared in the doorway, holding 2 mugs. "Good morning," he said, and the warmth in his voice steadied her. "Morning." She sat up, pulling the sheet around her. "What time is it?" 8. "I have a meeting at 10, but I can cancel if you want me to stay." "No, don't cancel." She accepted the coffee he offered. "I should probably get to Refuge anyway. Yuki will want to know what happened." "Will you tell her that I spent the night with you?" Brenda smiled over the rim of her mug. "I think she'll figure it out when I show up in last night's dress." Kang Min sat on the edge of the bed, his hand finding her knee through the sheet. "Have dinner with me tonight." "Okay. And tomorrow night?" "Min." "And the night after that?" His eyes held hers. "Every night, Brenda. I want every night. 1 day at a time, remember?" "1 day at a time," he agreed. "Starting with today. Dinner at 8? I'll be there." He leaned in to kiss her, slow and thorough, until her coffee was in danger of spilling. "I have to go," he murmured against her mouth, "but my driver will take you wherever you need to go." "I can take a cab." "You could, but you won't, because I'm asking you to let me take care of you." He pulled back, studied her face. "Can you do that? Let me take care of you?" It went against every instinct she'd developed in 3 years of running, but she nodded. "Okay." "Good." He stood, straightened his suit jacket. "I'll see you tonight." After he left, Brenda sat in his bed, drinking coffee and trying to process that this was real, that she'd done it, come back, stayed, woken up beside him, that he still wanted her after everything. Her phone buzzed. A text from Yuki. "Please tell me you're alive and just getting laid, not dead in a ditch somewhere." Brenda smiled and typed back, "Alive, definitely not dead. We'll explain later." The response was immediate. "I knew it. Details. I need all the details." She was still smiling when Kang Min's driver, a stoic man who introduced himself only as Jin, dropped her at her apartment an hour later. Refuge was busy when Brenda arrived that afternoon, the lunch crowd keeping Yuki occupied behind the bar. But the moment there was a lull, her partner pulled her into the back office and shut the door. "Talk," Yuki demanded. So, Brenda told her about the wine delivery, the reunion, the 30 minutes that had stretched into a night, about his penthouse and his promise and the way he'd asked her to move in. "And you said," Yuki prompted, "that I need time." "Brenda." "I know." She held up her hand. "I know it sounds like I'm still running, but I need to be sure. Need to know this is real and not just old feelings and good sex. It's been 3 years. Those feelings aren't old. They're just buried." Yuki leaned against the desk. "But I get it. Take your time. Just don't take so long that he stops waiting." He said, "If I run again, he won't chase." "Smart man. You need consequences." Yuki's expression softened. "But for what it's worth, I think you made the right choice. Coming back, taking the risk." "I hope you're right." A knock on the office door interrupted them. One of their servers, Miguel, poked his head in. "Brenda, there's someone here to see you." "Who?" He didn't give a name, just said it was urgent. Something in Miguel's tone made Brenda's FBI instincts kick in. She stood, hand automatically going to the gun she kept in her desk drawer. "Where is he?" Corner booth. Brenda followed Miguel out to the main floor, Yuki close behind her. The man in the corner booth wasn't anyone she recognized. Late 30s, expensive suit, the kind of controlled stillness that screamed professional. Russian, her instincts whispered, or Eastern European at least. "Miss Chastain," the man said as she approached. His accent confirmed her suspicion. "Thank you for seeing me." "I don't believe we've met." "No, but we have mutual interests." He gestured to the seat across from him. "Please, sit." Every instinct screamed not to, but this was her bar, her territory, and she had a gun within reach. She sat. "What do you want?" "To deliver a message." He slid a photograph across the table. Brenda and Kang Min at Azure last night, his hand on her waist, both of them smiling. Her blood went cold. "That's a beautiful picture," the man said pleasantly. "Would be a shame if something happened to spoil it." "Is that a threat?" "It's friendly advice." He leaned back, hands folded on the table. Kang Min has enemies, powerful enemies, enemies who know that the fastest way to hurt him is through the people he loves. "I can take care of myself." "Can you?" His smile didn't reach his eyes. "Your father couldn't, and he was FBI. You are just a woman with a wine bar." The mention of her father made fury spike through her fear. "You need to leave, now." "Leaving is excellent advice," he agreed, standing smoothly. "You should take it yourself. Disappear again. For your safety, and his." He buttoned his suit jacket. Because men like Kang Min, they don't get happy endings, they get funerals. He walked out without looking back. Brenda sat frozen, staring at the photograph, her hands shaking. "Brenda," Yuki was beside her in an instant. "What did he say?" "He threatened me, threatened Min." She looked up at her friend, and the fear she'd been holding at bay for the last 12 hours came rushing back. "He knew about last night, about the restaurant. He's been watching us. We need to call Kang Min." "No." Brenda stood on unsteady legs. "No, I need to think." "Think about what? Someone just threatened you." "Exactly." Brenda's voice came out hollow. "Someone threatened me because I'm with Min, which means being with him makes me a target, makes him vulnerable." "Brenda, don't what? Don't acknowledge reality?" She picked up the photograph with shaking hands. "This is why I left 3 years ago. This is why I should have stayed gone." "You're not running again. I'm protecting him." "You're protecting yourself," Yuki said sharply. "From being happy, from taking a risk, from living." Brenda wanted to argue, wanted to insist that this was different, that the threat was real, that leaving was the only way to keep Kang Min safe. But the words stuck in her throat because she knew Yuki was right. She was scared, not just of the threat, but of this, of staying, of committing, of believing that she deserved happiness with a man like Kang Min. Her phone buzzed, a text from him. "Dinner at 8. My place. I'll cook." She stared at the message, then at the photograph, then at Yuki's concerned face. "What do I do?" she whispered. "You call him," Yuki said firmly. "You tell him what happened, and you let him help keep you safe. Because that's what people who love each other do. They face the danger together. And if facing it gets him killed, then running won't save him. The threat exists whether you're with him or not." Yuki gripped her shoulders. "But if you leave now, you lose him anyway. So stop running, Brenda. Stay and fight." Brenda looked at her phone again. At the message from Kang Min, warm and normal and promising a future. "Okay, Pause for a second. If you haven't liked or subscribed yet, please do that now. But here's what I want to know. Do you think Brenda should stay and face the danger with Kang Min, or should she run to protect him? What would you do in her situation? Drop a comment and let me know. Now, let's see what she decides. Hold on. We're at a critical moment here. If you're as hooked as I am, and you still haven't liked or subscribed, please take a second to do that now. It really helps the channel grow. Then she looked at the photograph, at the Russian's warning, at 3 years of fear and guilt crystallized into a single choice. Stay or go, fight or flee, love or safety. Her hands were still shaking when she typed her response. We need to talk. Someone came to the bar. I'll explain tonight. The reply came within seconds. Are you hurt? No, just scared. I'll send Jin to pick you up at 7. Don't go anywhere alone. Okay. Brenda. Yes? Whatever it is, we'll handle it together. I promise. She set down her phone and realized she believed him. For better or worse, she was choosing to stay, choosing to trust, choosing him. Even if it terrified her, even if the threats were real, even if it might destroy them both. I'm staying, she said aloud. Yuki smiled, fierce and proud. Good. Now, let's figure out how to keep you both alive. But as Brenda looked at the photograph one more time before tucking it into her pocket, she couldn't shake the feeling that the danger was just beginning, and that this time, running might not be an option. 7 o'clock came too quickly. Brenda changed into jeans and a sweater, comfortable clothes that didn't scream, I'm terrified of being murdered. She tucked her gun into her purse, a habit from her FBI days that she'd never broken, and waited by the window until Jin's black Mercedes pulled up outside. The drive to Kang Min's penthouse felt longer than it had that morning. Every car that followed too closely made her pulse spike. Every shadow could hide a threat. When she finally reached his building, the doorman nodded her through with a smile that said he'd been expecting her. The elevator ride to the penthouse felt like ascending into another world, one where normal rules didn't apply. Kang Min opened the door before she could knock, his jacket gone, shirt sleeves rolled up, eyes sharp with concern. Tell me, he said, pulling her inside. So she told him about the Russian, the photograph, the warning, about her father and the fear and the way the man had looked at her like she was already dead. Kang Min listened in silence, his expression going colder with every word. When she finished, he said one word. Volkov. Who? Pavel Volkov, Russian Bratva. He's been making moves on my territory for the last year. Kang Min's jaw clenched. Sending someone to threaten you is his way of testing me, seeing if I'm weak. Are you? The question came out before she could stop it. Where you're concerned. He pulled her close, his hand cupping the back of her head. Absolutely. You're the only weakness I've ever had, Brenda, and now he knows it. Then I should go, disappear again, take away his leverage. No. The word was absolute. You're not running, not from this, not from me. Min, if staying with you gets you killed, if you leave me again, I'm already dead. He tilted her face up, forced her to meet his eyes. Do you understand? I survived 3 years without you, barely. I won't do it again. So we face this together, or not at all. What if I can't keep you safe? Then I'll keep you safe. He kissed her forehead, her cheeks, her mouth. Let me protect you, Brenda, please. She wanted to argue, wanted to insist she could take care of herself, that she didn't need protecting, that leaving was the smart choice. But looking at him At the determination in his eyes, the set of his jaw, the way he held her like she was something precious, she realized something. This wasn't about her being strong enough. It was about her being brave enough to let someone else be strong for her. "Okay," she whispered. "We face it together." "Together," he agreed. And as he pulled her into his arms, Brenda made another promise to herself. She wouldn't run. Not this time. Not even when the fear came clawing back. Not even when staying felt like the most dangerous choice she'd ever made. Because Kang Min was right. Running wouldn't save them. But maybe, just maybe, staying would. 3 days after the Russians' visit, Brenda woke at 3 a.m. in Kang Min's bed, with her heart racing and a plan half-formed in her mind. She could be gone by dawn, pack a bag, leave a note, disappear into one of the dozen safe houses she knew how to access. Volkov couldn't threaten what he couldn't find. And Kang Min would be safe, safer without her there to be used as leverage. It would hurt him. God, it would destroy him. But at least he'd be alive to hurt. She slipped out of bed carefully, trying not to wake him. Made it 3 steps toward the closet before his voice cut through the darkness. "Where are you going?" Brenda froze. "I couldn't sleep. I was just leaving." Kang Min sat up, and even in the dim light from the windows, she could see the resignation in his eyes. "You were planning to run." There was no point lying. "Yes." "When?" "Before you woke up." Her voice came out smaller than she intended. "I was going to leave a note." "Like last time?" "Yes." He was quiet for a long moment. Then he stood, crossed to her in bare feet and pajama pants, stopped close enough that she could feel the warmth of his skin. And what would the note say this time? His voice was carefully controlled, but she heard the anger beneath it. "Sorry again, forget me again. That I love you too much to watch you die because of me. So you'd rather break both our hearts again. Better broken than dead." "Not better," Kang Min said sharply. "Just easier. For you." The accusation stung because it was true. Running was what she knew, what she was good at. Staying required a courage she wasn't sure she possessed. "Min, I'm trying to protect you." "No." He gripped her shoulders, not rough but firm. "You're trying to protect yourself from being happy, from taking a risk, from the possibility that this might actually work." His eyes blazed. "I've had security on you since the moment you walked into Azure. I've had my people tracking Volkov's every move. I've been handling this threat while you slept in my bed. And you were going to leave without even asking me what I've done to keep us both safe." She hadn't thought of that. Hadn't considered that while she was spiraling in fear, he'd been taking action. "What have you done?" she asked quietly. "Reinforced your bar's security, put a protective detail on Yuki, identified every one of Volkov's operatives in the city." He released her shoulders, ran a hand through his hair. "I've been preparing for war, Brenda, because I meant what I said. I'm not losing you again. And if Volkov kills you while you're protecting me, then I die protecting something worth dying for." He cupped her face, forced her to meet his eyes. "But I won't die easy, and I won't die without a fight. So stop making decisions for me. Stop assuming I can't handle this. And for the love of God, stop trying to run." Tears burned her eyes. "I don't know how to not be scared." "Then be scared here, with me." His thumb brushed her cheekbone. "But don't be scared alone in another city, pretending you're noble for leaving when you're just terrified of staying." The words hit like a slap because they were true. All of it was true. I promised I wouldn't run, she whispered. You did. And yet here you are at 3 a.m. planning your escape route. I'm sorry. Don't apologize. Just stay. He pulled her close, his arms wrapping around her like he could physically keep her there. Stay and trust me. Trust that I can keep us both safe. Can you do that? Could she? Could she let go of control long enough to trust that someone else would catch her? I'll try, she said, finally. Not good enough. He pulled back, his expression hard. I need more than trying, Brenda. I need commitment. Real commitment. Because if you're going to keep one foot out the door, keep planning escape routes, keep treating this like it's temporary, I can't do this. You're giving me an ultimatum? I'm setting a boundary. All in or all out. No more halfway. Her heart hammered against her ribs. This was it, the real test. Not Volkov's threat, but this. Could she choose Kang Min without reservation, without an escape plan, without the safety net of knowing she could run if things got hard? What if I fail? She whispered. What if I try to be all in and I can't? Then we deal with it together. But you have to try, Brenda. Really try. Not just say you will while planning your exit. She thought about her father, about 3 years of running, about the woman she'd been when she walked into Azure 5 days ago, scared and alone and desperate for something she was too afraid to reach for. And she thought about the woman she wanted to be, brave enough to stay, strong enough to trust, capable of loving without fear destroying it. Okay, she said. All in, I promise. Prove it. How? Move in with me, tomorrow, officially. Bring your things. Give up your apartment. Stop living like you're going to run any minute. The request terrified her, but she nodded. Okay, I'll move in. Something in his expression softened. You mean it? I mean it. She took his hand, pressed it against her racing heart. Feel that. That's me being terrified, but I'm staying anyway. He kissed her then, fierce and claiming and full of 3 years of waiting for her to be brave enough for this. Tomorrow, he said against her mouth. You move in tomorrow. No more separate lives. Tomorrow, she agreed. They went back to bed, and this time, when she woke at dawn, she didn't reach for an escape plan. She reached for him. The FBI came for her at Refuge 2 days later. Let's pause for a relationship lesson here. Notice how Kang Min set a boundary. If you run again, I won't follow. That's not manipulation. It's self-protection. Healthy relationships need both partners to show up consistently. Psychology shows that anxious attachment, Brenda's fear-based running, needs secure attachment to heal. But secure partners aren't doormats. Kang Min gave Brenda space to choose, while valuing himself enough to say, I deserve someone who stays. Real love means being brave enough to risk the relationship to save it from dysfunction. Sometimes the most loving word is no. Brenda was in the wine cellar, doing inventory, when Yuki's voice came over the intercom. Brenda, you have a visitor. Says he knows you from the bureau. Every instinct went on alert. She climbed the stairs to find Special Agent Rodriguez sitting at the bar, looking exactly as she remembered. Salt and pepper hair, sharp eyes, the kind of tired that came from 30 years of chasing monsters. Agent Chastain, he said, standing when he saw her. Or should I say Miss Chastain now? I'm not an agent anymore, Brenda replied, staying on her side of the bar. What do you want, Rodriguez? To talk about your father. The words hit like a physical blow. My father's been dead for 3 years. I know. I worked with him. He was a good man. Rodriguez's expression was somber. He died trying to protect you from Kang Min. He died doing his job. He died because you fell in love with a criminal. Rodriguez leaned forward. And now, you're back with that same criminal, which is why I'm here. Brenda's stomach dropped. How did you? We've been watching Kang Min for years. When you surfaced, we noticed. He slid a folder across the bar. We're building a new case against his organization, his business dealings, everything. And you're positioned perfectly to help us. You want me to inform on him. It wasn't a question. I want you to honor your father's memory. He died because of that man, Brenda. He died in Crossfire. From an organization Kang Min was connected to. From people who existed in his world. Rodriguez's voice hardened. Your father spent his last months trying to separate you from a dangerous man. And now, you're back with him. How do you think that honors his sacrifice? Guilt, sharp and familiar, twisted in her chest. I'm not informing, she said quietly. Then you're protecting organized crime. I'm protecting someone I love. Your father said the same thing once, about you. Rodriguez stood. Look, I understand this is complicated, but we can protect you, get you out, give you a new life, keep you safe from Volkov and anyone else who might use you against Kang Min. The mention of Volkov made her pause. How do you know about Volkov? We know everything, including that he's threatened you, including that staying with Kang Min makes you a target. Rodriguez pulled out a card, set it on the bar. You have 1 week to decide. Help us build the case, or you're on your own. I'm already on my own. No, you're with a criminal who's going to get you killed. There's a difference. He moved toward the door, paused. Your father's last words to me were about you. He said, take care of my daughter. Don't let her throw her life away. Don't throw your life away, Brenda. Not for a man like Kang Min. He left. Brenda stood there, staring at the card on her bar, her father's ghost heavy in the room. What are you going to do? Yuki asked quietly. I don't know. But she did know. She knew that Rodriguez was asking her to betray the man she loved. Knew that her father had died believing she'd made a mistake. Knew that every instinct from her FBI training was screaming that informing was the right thing to do. And she knew with absolute certainty that she wasn't going to do it. She picked up Rodriguez's card and tore it in half. I'm going to choose Kang Min, she said, over my father's memory, over my training, over everything. Are you sure? No, but I'm doing it anyway. She told Kang Min that night, curled up on his couch with wine and the weight of her decision pressing on her chest. Rodriguez came to see me, she said, wants me to inform on you, help them build a case. Kang Min went very still. And what did you say? I told him no. Just like that? Not just like that. I thought about it. Thought about my father, about doing the right thing, about whether loving you makes me complicit in everything you've done. She looked at him. And then I decided, I don't care. You don't care if I've broken laws? I care. But I care about you more. She took his hand. I spent 3 years trying to honor my father's memory by staying away from you. And all it did was make us both miserable. So I'm done. Done letting guilt rule my life. Done making decisions based on what dead people would want. I'm choosing what I want. And what do you want? You. She moved to straddle his lap, her hands framing his face. I want you, all of you, the good, the bad, the complicated. I want morning coffee and late nights and Sunday mornings in bed. I want to fight with you and make up with you and build a life with you. Her voice cracked. I want to stop running. Kang Min's hands slid up her back, pulling her close. Say it again. I choose you. Again. I choose you, Kang Min. Over safety. Over my past. Over everything. He kissed her like she'd given him something precious, like she'd answered a question he'd been afraid to ask. I'm in love with you, he said against her mouth, completely, irrevocably, in a way that probably isn't healthy but feels inevitable. I'm in love with you too. Have been since the first time you walked into that courtroom, even when you were trying to prosecute me. Especially then. She smiled through tears. You made it very difficult to stay professional. Good. I wasn't trying to be professional. His thumb brushed away a tear. I was trying to make you see me. I saw you. I've always seen you. And now I'm not looking away. They made love on his couch, slow and tender and full of promises neither of them could guarantee, but both were determined to keep. And afterward, wrapped in a throw blanket with the city lights glittering beyond the windows, Brenda felt something shift in her chest. Peace. For the first time in 3 years, she felt peace. Rodriguez said, I have a week to decide, she said quietly. What happens in a week? He'll assume I'm not cooperating, might come after you harder, might target me as an accomplice. Let him try. Kang Min's voice was hard. I have the best lawyers in the country, and I'm not letting anyone take you from me. Not the FBI, not Volkov, not anyone. That's very possessive. I'm a possessive man, especially about you. I noticed. She pressed a kiss to his chest. For the record, I like it. Good, because it's not changing. They sat in comfortable silence for a while, the weight of the day finally settling. I moved my things in today, Brenda said. While you were at work, Yuki helped me. My apartment is officially empty. So you're really staying? I'm really staying. She looked up at him. No more 1 foot out the door. No more escape plans. This is home now. This has always been home. He tightened his arms around her. You just had to come back to it. I'm glad I did. So am I. Later, lying in bed with sleep pulling at her, Brenda thought about Rodriguez's words, about her father, about the choice she'd made. Her father had told her to choose her own life, to not let his expectations dictate her happiness. So that's what she was doing. She was choosing Kang Min, choosing love, choosing to stay even when staying was dangerous. And if that made her complicit, if that made her a bad daughter, if that made her foolish, she didn't care. For the first time in her life, she was choosing what she wanted instead of what she should want. And what she wanted was him, all of him, forever. Min, she whispered into the darkness. I love you. I love you too. Even if I'm a terrible person for choosing you over everything else, you're not terrible. You're brave. He kissed her temple. And you're mine. Finally, completely mine. Finally, she agreed, and fell asleep in his arms, in their home, with her choice made and her heart at peace. No more running, no more guilt, no more fear. Just him, just them, just this. It was enough. It was everything. The next morning, Brenda called Rodriguez from Kang Min's penthouse while he was in the shower. Agent Rodriguez, she said when he answered. This is Brenda Chastain. Have you made a decision? I have. And the answer is no. I'm not informing on Kang Min. I'm not helping you build a case. I'm not choosing the FBI over the man I love. Silence on the other end. You understand what this means, Rodriguez said finally. I understand you might come after me, might try to pressure me, threaten me, make my life difficult. Her voice was steady. Do what you need to do. My answer won't change. Your father would be disappointed. My father told me to live my own life, so that's what I'm doing. She hung up before he could respond. Kang Min emerged from the bathroom, towel around his waist, water still beading on his shoulders. Was that Rodriguez? Yes. I told him I'm not helping, made it official. How do you feel? Scared, relieved, like I just burned every bridge to my old life. You did. He crossed to her, pulled her up from the chair. But you built a bridge to a new one, to this one, to us. No regrets? She asked. Not a single one. Even if this gets complicated. Especially then. He kissed her, slow and sure. I don't want easy, Brenda. I want you. And you're worth any complication. I love you. I know. You proved it. And she had. By staying, by choosing, by burning her bridges and jumping off the cliff with no safety net. All in. Finally. Completely. Forever. The retaliation came faster than Brenda expected. 4 days after she refused to cooperate, Yuki was arrested. Brenda got the call at dawn, her business partner being taken into custody on charges related to her Yakuza past. Charges that had been sealed, buried, forgotten. Until now. It's Rodriguez, Brenda said, pacing Kang Min's penthouse while he made phone calls to lawyers. He's coming after everyone I care about. We'll get her released, Kang Min assured her, phone pressed to his ear. I have people who specialize in this. But the message was clear. Refuse to cooperate, and the people around her would pay. Brenda stood at the floor-to-ceiling windows, staring at the city waking up below. Fury and helplessness warring in her chest. This was why she'd run 3 years ago. This was why loving anyone in her world or his was dangerous. We got her out, Kang Min said, an hour later, ending his 5th call. Charges dropped. The DA's office found irregularities in the arrest warrant. Rodriguez will try again. Let him. Kang Min's voice was cold. I'm done playing defense. What does that mean? It means I've been having Rodriguez investigated since the day he approached you. And my people found something interesting. He pulled out a tablet, brought up a series of financial records, bank transfers, offshore accounts, payments that didn't match a federal agent's salary. Rodriguez has been on someone's payroll for the last 7 years, Kang Min said. Substantial payments, regular deposits, all from shell companies that trace back to one man. Who? Pavel Volkov. The name hit her like ice water. The Russian who threatened me? The same. Rodriguez has been feeding him information about FBI operations for years. And 3 years ago, Kang Min pulled up another document. He received a payment of $500,000 2 weeks before your father died. Brenda's legs went weak. She sat down hard on the couch, staring at the numbers on the screen. My father was investigating Volkov, she said slowly, pieces clicking into place. He told me he was building a case against a new Russian organization moving into the city. And Rodriguez was feeding that organization information. Kang Min sat beside her, including where your father would be during the raid. He set him up. The words came out hollow. Rodriguez set up my father to be killed, and then convinced you it was connected to me, made you think your relationship with me had gotten your father killed. Kang Min's jaw clenched. When the truth is, your father died because he discovered Rodriguez was dirty, and Volkov had him eliminated. 3 years. 3 years of guilt. 3 years of believing her love had killed her father. 3 years of running from Kang Min because she thought being with him had put her father in danger. All of it based on a lie. I need to see him, Brenda said, standing abruptly. Rodriguez, I need to confront him. Brenda, he used my father's death to manipulate me. Used my guilt to try to turn me into an informant. Her hands were shaking with rage. I need him to know that I know. Then we do it properly. Kang Min stood, his hand on her shoulder. With lawyers, with evidence, with the US attorney present, we build a case that puts him away. How long will that take? My lawyers are already preparing the documents. We can have a meeting set up by this afternoon. This afternoon, Brenda repeated. We can end this today? We can start ending it today. He pulled her close. But Brenda, you need to understand. Once we do this, there's no going back. Rodriguez will know you're the one who exposed him. Volkov will know. This will make you a target. I'm already a target. At least this way, I'm fighting back. Then we fight. He kissed her forehead. Together. The meeting took place in a federal building conference room at 3 p.m. Present, Brenda, Kang Min, 3 of his lawyers, an assistant U.S. attorney named Michelle, Park, and, brought in under the assumption this was a cooperation meeting, Special Agent Rodriguez. Rodriguez walked in expecting Brenda to have changed her mind about informing. He walked out in handcuffs. What is this? Rodriguez demanded when Agent Park began reading him his rights. This is you being arrested for corruption, obstruction of justice, and conspiracy to commit murder, Park said calmly. She gestured to the files spread across the table, bank records, communications, witness statements. We have evidence that you've been on Pavel Volkov's payroll for 7 years, that you fed him classified information about FBI operations, and that you received payment for providing him with the location and timing of a raid that resulted in the death of Director Michael Chastain. Rodriguez's face went white. You set up my father, Brenda said, her voice deadly quiet. You told Volkov where he'd be. You made sure he walked into that ambush, and then you used his death to manipulate me. That's not... I didn't... Rodriguez looked around wildly. This is fabricated. Kang Min is setting me up because Chastain refused to inform on him. The evidence comes from 3 independent sources, Park said, including banking institutions, communications intercepts, and testimony from one of Volkov's former associates who's cooperating with us. She nodded to the agents flanking Rodriguez. Take him. As they led him away, Rodriguez looked back at Brenda. Your father died because of Kang Min's world. That part was true. My father died because of yours, Brenda corrected. Because you sold out to the highest bidder. Don't put that on me or him. The door closed behind Rodriguez. Silence filled the conference room. It's over, Agent Park said. We'll need your formal statement, Ms. Chastain, but the case against Rodriguez is solid. He'll be convicted. And Volkov? Kang Min asked. With Rodriguez's arrest, we have enough to move on Volkov's organization. Federal prosecutors are already preparing warrants. Park began gathering the files. You should both be safe within the week. After Park left, Brenda sat in the empty conference room, staring at the space where Rodriguez had stood. 3 years of guilt, 3 years of believing her love was poison, 3 years of her life stolen by a lie. "How do you feel?" Kangmin asked quietly. "I don't know." She looked at him, angry, relieved, like I've been carrying something heavy and someone just took it away. "Your father's death wasn't your fault. I know that now." Tears burned her eyes. "But I lost 3 years with you because I believed it was. Then let's not lose any more time." Kang Min stood, pulled her to her feet. "Come with me." "Where?" "You'll see." He took her to Central Park, to a bench overlooking the lake, where sunset painted the sky in shades of gold and pink. The same bench where, 4 years ago, he told her he was leaving the organization, where he'd promised her a future neither of them had believed possible. "Why here?" Brenda asked. "Because this is where I first promised you forever," Kang Min said. "And I want to do it again, properly this time." He dropped to one knee. Brenda's breath caught. "I've loved you for 4 years," he said, pulling a ring box from his jacket. "Wanted you for longer. Waited for you when you ran. Would have waited forever if that's what it took." He opened the box, revealing a diamond that caught the sunset light. "But I'm done waiting, Brenda. Done with separate lives and half measures and being careful. I want everything. I want you as my wife, my partner, my family. I want to wake up beside you for the rest of my life and never wonder if you're going to run. So marry me. Please, say yes." She was crying, laughing, dropping to her knees in front of him so they were eye level. "Yes," she said. "Yes, I'll marry you. I'll be your wife and your partner, and I promise I won't run ever again." He slid the ring on her finger, perfect fit, like it had been made for her, and kissed her there in Central Park while joggers passed and tourists took photos and the city moved around them, indifferent to their joy. "I love you," she said against his mouth. "I love you too. Have since the moment you walked into that courtroom looking like you wanted to save the world. Did I save it? You saved me. That's close enough." They sat on that bench until full dark, his arm around her shoulders, her head on his chest, the ring heavy and real on her finger. "What happens now?" Brenda asked. "Now we plan a wedding, build a life, stay safe while the FBI handles Volkov." Just like that, just like that. He tilted her face up. "Unless you want more drama, I can arrange drama. I think we've had enough drama to last a lifetime." "Agreed. From now on, boring domesticity. Sunday mornings and coffee and arguments about whose turn it is to do the dishes." "That sounds perfect. That sounds like forever." "Forever," she repeated. "I like the sound of that." They walked back to his penthouse hand in hand, engaged and happy and finally free of the guilt and lies that had kept them apart. What a journey these two have had. If you've made it this far, show some love with a like and subscribe if you haven't already. My question for you: do you believe in second chances like this? Could you forgive someone who disappeared for 3 years? Drop your thoughts below. Now, let's see what happens next. In the lobby, the doorman congratulated them. In the elevator, Kang Min kissed her against the wall until she forgot which floor they were on. In the penthouse, they celebrated with wine and laughter and promises whispered in the dark. And when Brenda fell asleep that night, it was with his ring on her finger and peace in her heart. Her father's death had been avenged, Rodriguez would face justice, Volkov would fall, and she was marrying the man she loved. Everything she'd lost 3 years ago, she'd found again, only better this time, because this time she wasn't running, she was staying, forever. The news of Rodriguez's arrest made headlines the next morning. FBI agent arrested for corruption, tied to Russian organized crime. Brenda read the article over coffee in Kang Min's kitchen, their kitchen now, while he made breakfast. "Your father's name is mentioned," he said, reading over her shoulder. "They're calling him a hero, saying he died trying to expose corruption in his own agency." "He was a hero," Brenda said softly. "He deserves to be remembered that way." "What about you? How will you remember him?" She thought about it, about her father's complicated legacy, about the way he tried to separate her from Kang Min, not understanding that some loves couldn't be fought, about his last words, "Choose your own life." "I'll remember him as someone who loved me enough to let me go," she said, finally. "Even if he didn't understand my choices, he told me to make them. That's what matters." Would he approve of us? Eventually, maybe, if he'd lived to see who you became. She looked at her engagement ring. "But even if he wouldn't, I'm still choosing you. That's not going to change." "Good." Kang Min kissed the top of her head. "Because you're stuck with me now." "Stuck with you how?" "Forever. Marriage. Kids eventually. Growing old together. The whole domestic dream." "Kids?" She turned to look at him. "You want kids?" "With you, absolutely. 3, maybe 4. 4. I'm negotiable. But at least 2. She laughed, pulling him down for a kiss. "Let's start with the wedding." "When?" "Soon. I don't want to wait." "Neither do I." He sat beside her, took her hand. "City Hall next week? Or do you want something bigger?" "City Hall is perfect. Just us and whoever we love most." "Yuki." "Definitely Yuki." Brenda smiled. "Your family." "My mother will insist. She's been asking about you for 3 years." "She knows about me." "She knows I've been in love with someone who left." "She's been very patient about not asking questions." He squeezed her hand. "She'll love you. Warning, she's intense." "Intense I can handle. It's boring I'm bad at." "Then you're marrying the right man." They spent the morning planning their future. Small wedding, honeymoon in Napa at his mother's vineyard, moving Brenda's business partner into more active management so they could travel. Normal things, happy things. The kind of future Brenda had stopped believing she could have. Her phone buzzed. A text from Agent Park. "Volkov arrested this morning. Multiple charges. You're safe." She showed Kang Min the message. "It's really over," she said. "It's really over." He pulled her into his lap. "No more threats. No more looking over our shoulders. Just us and whatever life we want to build." "What kind of life do you want?" Honest answer? "Always. I want quiet. After 20 years of looking over my shoulder, I want boring. I want to wake up knowing the most exciting thing that will happen is what to have for dinner." He traced the ring on her finger. "I want to grow old with you. Watch our kids grow up. Build something that has nothing to do with the organization I'm leaving behind." "That sounds perfect," Brenda whispered. "Yeah? Yeah, let's build that life. Starting now." "Starting now," he agreed. And they did. One choice at a time. One day at a time. One promise at a time. Building a life worth staying for. Together. 2 weeks later, Brenda stood in City Hall, wearing a simple white dress, holding a bouquet of white roses, with Yuki beside her as a witness. Kang Min waited at the front of the room in a dark suit, his mother dabbing tears beside him, his eyes locked on Brenda like she was the only thing in the world. The ceremony was short, the vows were simple, the kiss was perfect. And when the officiant pronounced them married, Brenda realized she'd finally made it. After 4 years of loving him, 3 years of running, and 2 weeks of fighting for their future, she'd made it to forever. "Mrs. Kang," her husband said, grinning. "I'm keeping Chastain professionally," she corrected. "Mrs. Kang in my bed, then. That I can agree to." They walked out of City Hall into autumn sunshine, married and happy, and finally free. "What now?" Yuki asked, hugging them both. "Now we go home," Kang Min said, his arm around Brenda's waist, "and live the boring, happy life we fought for." "Boring looks good on you two," Yuki said with a smile. "It feels good too," Brenda agreed. And it did. After years of running and fear and guilt, boring felt like luxury, like grace, like coming home after being lost. They drove back to the penthouse in Kang Min's Mercedes, the same car that had taken her there that first night. But everything was different now. She wasn't a visitor in his life. She was his wife, his partner, his forever. "Happy?" he asked as they rode the elevator up. "Completely. No regrets?" "Not one. Not even about Rodriguez? Or the FBI career you left behind? Especially not about that." She turned in his arms. "I chose right. For the first time in my life, I chose exactly what I wanted, and I got it. What did you want? You, this, us." She kissed him. "A life worth fighting for." Did we fight hard enough? We fought perfectly. The elevator opened to their home, their life, their forever, and Brenda walked in without looking back. No more running, no more guilt, no more fear, just love, just peace, just this. It was everything. 6 months later. Brenda Kang, she'd taken his name after all, in the end, stood in the doorway of what would become a nursery, watching contractors paint the walls a soft grey. "Second thoughts about the color?" Kang Min asked, coming up behind her to wrap his arms around her waist. "No, just thinking about how much has changed. Good change or bad change? The best change." She leaned back against him, her hand covering his where it rested on her still flat stomach. "A year ago, I was alone in my apartment, convinced I'd never see you again. Now I'm married to you, pregnant, and watching strangers paint a nursery in our home." "Our home," he repeated, like he loved the sound of it. "I'll never get tired of hearing you say that." "Good, because I'm not going anywhere." "Promise." "I promise. For the 1,000th time, I promise." She turned in his arms. "When are you going to believe I'm not going to run?" "I believe you. I just like hearing you say it." She kissed him, soft and lingering. 6 months of marriage, and she still got butterflies when he looked at her like that. Like she was something precious he couldn't quite believe he got to keep. "How was the meeting?" she asked. He'd been at his lawyer's office all morning. "Final. The last of my ties to the organization are officially severed. As of today, I'm completely legitimate." He smiled. "Boring businessman, Kang Min, at your service. You could never be boring. Give me time. I'm planning to get very boring. Golf on Sundays, dinner parties, parent-teacher conferences eventually." "That sounds perfect." "Yeah?" He pulled her closer. "No regrets about marrying a reformed criminal?" "Reformed is the important word. And no, not a single regret." She touched his face. "You're a good man, Min. You always were. You just needed to believe it. You made me believe it. You made yourself believe it. I just didn't run when things got complicated. Best decision you ever made. Second best, she corrected. The first was writing that note on the wine bottle. Make a wish, he quoted. 3 words that changed everything. They did. She rested her forehead against his. Best wish I ever made. 1 year later, their daughter was born on a Tuesday in April, screaming her displeasure at being removed from the warm darkness into bright hospital lights. She's perfect, Kang Min said, tears streaming down his face as the nurse placed the baby in Brenda's arms. She's angry, Brenda corrected, laughing through her own tears. Listen to those lungs. Like her mother, strong opinions from day one. Excuse me, I am very easygoing. You held a gun on a Russian mobster 2 weeks before our wedding. That was different. He was threatening you. Exactly my point. He kissed her forehead, then the baby's. What should we call her? They'd debated names for months, but never settled on one. Now, looking at her daughter's tiny face, Brenda knew. Grace, she said. Grace Michaela. Kang. Kang Min went very still. Michaela, after your father. He'd have loved her, would have spoiled her rotten. Brenda's voice cracked. I want her to carry his name, want her to know who he was, even if he never got to meet her. Grace Michaela, Kang Min repeated softly. It's perfect. She's perfect. He traced their daughter's tiny hand with his finger. Hello, Grace. I'm your dad. I'm going to be terrified of failing you for the rest of my life, but I promise to try my best. You'll be a great father. I have no idea what I'm doing. Neither do I. We'll figure it out together. Together, he agreed, like everything else. Grace chose that moment to stop crying and open her eyes. Dark, alert, already curious about the world. She's looking at you, Brenda said. She's looking at both of us, her family. Kang Min's hand covered Brenda's where it supported their daughter's head. Our family. Can you believe we get to keep her? We made her. I think we have to keep her. Best thing we ever made. Definitely better than that time you tried to cook me breakfast. That was one time and the fire alarm was faulty. The eggs were black, Min. Fine. She's better than my cooking, but nothing is better than you. Brenda laughed, exhausted and happy, and more in love than she'd known was possible. 2 years ago, she'd been alone and running. Now she was married with a baby and a life so full she could barely contain it. Thank you, she said quietly. For what? For waiting. For not giving up when I ran. For fighting for us when I was too scared to fight for myself. You fought for us too. You came back. That's the bravest thing you've ever done. Second bravest, she corrected. The bravest was staying. Then keep being brave, he said, for the next 60 years or so. Deal. Grace made a small noise, not quite a cry, just an observation about her new existence. She's hungry, Brenda said. Already. She just got here. Welcome to parenthood. I'm going to be terrible at this. You're going to be amazing at this. Brenda adjusted Grace for nursing. Now go call your mother before she storms the hospital demanding to meet her granddaughter. Too late. She's already in the waiting room with Yuki. They're planning a christening. Of course they are. But Brenda didn't mind. After years of being alone, having too many people who loved her felt like luxury. 3 years later, Brenda stood in Refuge's wine cellar, looking at a very specific bottle of 2015 Chateau Margaux. trying to work up the courage to do something she'd done once before. "Not this again," Yuki said from the doorway. "You're already married to him. What are you nervous about?" "It's his birthday, our 4th anniversary of the wine delivery." Brenda pulled out a card. "I wanted to recreate the moment, but now I'm wondering if it's too cheesy." "It's incredibly cheesy. Do it anyway." "You're very helpful." "I know." Yuki came to stand beside her. "What are you going to write this time?" "The same thing. Make a wish." "And what do you think he'll wish for?" Brenda smiled, one hand moving unconsciously to her stomach, where a second baby was growing, still secret, still just hers and Min's to know. "Probably the same thing I wished for. More of this. More of us. More life." "Then write it. Stop overthinking." So Brenda wrote the 3 words on a card in her careful script. "Make a wish." Attached it to the bottle. Wrapped it in the same black ribbon she'd used 4 years ago. Full circle. Back to the beginning. Except everything was different now. She wasn't alone. Wasn't running. Wasn't afraid. She was home. Kang Min's birthday dinner was at the penthouse. Just family. His mother, who'd become Brenda's biggest supporter. Yuki, who'd been there from the beginning. And Grace, who was 3 years old and full of opinions about everything. "Mama, why is Daddy old?" Grace asked, studying her father with serious eyes. "Daddy's not old," Brenda said, trying not to laugh. "He's 39. That's very old." "Thank you, Grace," Kang Min said dryly, very reassuring. "You're welcome," Grace beamed, missing the sarcasm entirely. After dinner, after cake, after Grace had been put to bed with a story about a princess who saved herself, Brenda presented Kang Min with the wine. He held it carefully, saw the card, and smiled. "Make a wish," he read aloud. "Same as 4 years ago." "I thought we should have a tradition." "I like traditions." He pulled her close, pressed a kiss to her temple. "What should I wish for?" "What do you want?" "Everything I already have. You, Grace, this life." He paused. "Maybe one more thing." "What's that?" "Another baby. Eventually. Grace should have a sibling." Brenda smiled, pulled out a small wrapped box from her pocket. "Open this." He unwrapped it carefully. Inside was a pregnancy test, positive, and a note. "Wish granted." Kang Min stared at it, then at her, then back at the test. "You're pregnant. 10 weeks. I wanted to surprise you on your birthday." "You're pregnant," he repeated, like he couldn't quite process it. Then he was lifting her off her feet, spinning her around, laughing. "We're having another baby." "Careful, pregnant woman." Sorry. He set her down gently, hands immediately going to her stomach. "How long have you known?" 3 weeks. I wanted to wait, make sure everything was okay before I told you." "And you're okay. The baby's okay." "We're both perfect." She covered his hands with hers. Surprise. Best birthday present ever. He kissed her, deep and thorough. "Better than the wine." "Better than the first time I gave you wine?" "Nothing's better than that." "That was the night you came back to me." He pulled back enough to look at her face. "But this is a close second." "I love you." "I love you too." His thumb traced her cheekbone. "Thank you." "For what?" "For staying. For building this life with me. For giving me everything I never knew I wanted. You gave me the same thing. Then we're even. We're better than even. We're happy. We are, aren't we?" He sounded almost surprised. "After everything, the running, the threats, the fear, we're actually happy." "Shockingly happy," Brenda agreed. boringly happy. I love boring. Me too. They opened the wine, carefully since Brenda couldn't drink it, and Kang Min poured himself a glass. To 4 years, he said, raising it in a toast. To 4 years, Brenda echoed with her water glass, and to all the years after. All of them. Every single boring, happy, perfect one. They stood at the window, looking out at Manhattan glittering below them. And Brenda thought about the woman she'd been 4 years ago, scared, alone, convinced she was poison to everyone she loved. And she thought about the woman she was now, married, mother, pregnant again, running a successful business, building a life with a man who'd waited 3 years for her to be brave enough to come back. "What are you thinking?" Kang Min asked. "That I almost didn't write that note. 4 years ago, I almost didn't send the wine. What stopped you?" "Yuki told me you'd been looking for me, that you never stopped." Brenda leaned into him. "That gave me hope, enough to take the risk." "Best risk you ever took." "Best risk we both took." She looked up at him. "You risked everything on me too. Your organization, your safety, your heart. Worth it, every time worth it." Grace's voice came from the hallway. She'd snuck out of bed. "Daddy, Mama, I can't sleep." "Come here, baby girl," Kang Min called. Grace padded over in her pajamas, climbed into her father's arms like she belonged there. Which she did. They all did. This strange, beautiful family they'd built from heartbreak and hope. "Tell me a story," Grace demanded. "What kind of story?" Brenda asked. "A happy one, with a princess who doesn't run away." Brenda and Kang Min exchanged a look. "I have a story like that," Brenda said softly. "Want to hear it?" "Yes." So Brenda told her daughter a story about a woman who was scared and a man who waited, about a bottle of wine and 3 words on a card, about running away and coming back, about choosing love over fear, staying over leaving, hope over safety, about making a wish and having it come true. Grace fell asleep before the end, curled in her father's arms, but Brenda finished the story anyway. "And they lived happily ever after?" Kang Min prompted, smiling. "They lived," Brenda corrected. "Happily, messily, imperfectly. But together, always together." "I like that ending better." "So do I." He carried Grace back to bed, tucked her in, kissed her forehead. Then he came back to Brenda, pulled her close, and they stood in the quiet of their home, their life, and just breathed. "Thank you for the wine," he said. "Thank you for the wish." "What did you wish for?" "The same thing I wished for 4 years ago." She touched his face. "You. This. Forever." "Wish granted," he said, echoing the note she'd left in the gift box. "Every day, wish granted." And it was. 4 years after a bottle of wine and 3 words changed everything, Brenda had exactly what she'd wished for. A man who loved her, a family who needed her, a life worth staying for. No more running, no more fear, no more guilt. Just this, just them, just love. It was enough. It was everything. It was home. 5 years after the wine. On the 5th anniversary of the wine delivery, Brenda and Kang Min returned to Azure Restaurant, the scene of their reunion, for dinner. Grace stayed with her grandmother, and their son, Michael, was just 6 months old, safely with Yuki for the evening. They sat at the same table where they'd had their 30-minute conversation that had changed everything. "Remember this?" Kang Min asked, pulling out an old worn card from his wallet. "Make a wish." The original one she'd sent him. "You kept it." "I've carried it every day for 5 years." a reminder that sometimes wishes come true. Sometimes they do, Brenda agreed, when you're brave enough to make them. Were you brave? That night? Terrified, but yes, brave, the bravest I'd ever been. She reached across the table, took his hand. Thank you for giving me 30 minutes, for not giving up on me. I'd have given you 30 years if that's what you needed. I only needed 30 minutes, and 5 years later, here we are. Here we are, he echoed, still together, still happy, still making wishes. What do you wish for now? More of this, more years, more life, more everything with you. Greedy. When it comes to you, absolutely. The waiter brought wine, the same vintage, the same bottle. Perfect symmetry. To 5 years, Kang Min said, raising his glass. To 50 more, Brenda countered. I'll drink to that. They did. And sitting there, in that restaurant, where she'd made the bravest choice of her life, Brenda realized she'd done it. She'd built the life she wanted, found the love she'd been running from, became the woman she'd been too scared to be, all because of 3 words on a card. Make a wish. She had, and it came true. Every single day, it kept coming true. I love you, she said. I love you too. Kang Min smiled. Forever. Forever, she promised. No more running, no more fear. Just this, he agreed. And in that moment, Brenda knew. Some wishes were worth waiting for, worth fighting for, worth staying for. Theirs was all 3, and it always would be. Years later, when Grace was 15 and Michael was 12, they asked their mother about the wine bottle that sat in a place of honor in the living room. Never opened, carefully preserved. Why do we keep an old bottle of wine? Grace asked. Brenda looked at Kang Min, who smiled and nodded. Because, Brenda said, that bottle of wine changed my life. I gave it to your father on his birthday with a note that said, make a wish. And he wished for me. That's so cheesy, Grace said, but she was smiling. Very cheesy, Michael agreed. The best things are, Kang Min said, pulling Brenda close. Your mother taught me that. What did you wish for, Mama? Michael asked. The same thing, Brenda said. Him, a life together, a family, everything I was too scared to believe I could have. And you got it, Grace said softly. I got it, because I was brave enough to make the wish, and your father was patient enough to wait for me to be ready. How long did he wait? 3 years. 3 years? Grace's eyes went wide. That's so long. Some things are worth waiting for, Kang Min said. Like what? Like your mother, like love, like a life that's worth building together. Michael studied the wine bottle. Can we try it someday? The wine. On your wedding day, Brenda said. Both of you. When you find someone worth waiting for, worth fighting for, worth making wishes about, we'll open this bottle and celebrate. Deal, Grace said. Deal, Michael echoed. And years later, they did. First at Grace's wedding, then at Michael's. The wine was shared, the story was told, and the tradition continued. Make a wish. 3 words that had changed one life, then built a family, then became a legacy. The best wish Brenda ever made. The best wine she ever delivered. The best choice she ever had the courage to stay for. Some stories end with grand gestures, with declarations and drama and fireworks. This story ended quietly, with Sunday mornings and coffee, with children's laughter and ordinary days, with a man and a woman who'd fought through fear and found their way to each other, and stayed. Through threats and danger and guilt and pain, they stayed, because some loves are worth fighting for, some wishes are worth making, some risks are worth taking, and some people are worth staying for. Brenda Kang learned that lesson over 4 years and 5 chapters and 1,000 moments of choosing love over fear. Kang Min learned it by waiting 3 years for the woman who ran to be brave enough to come back. Together, they built a life from a bottle of wine and 3 words on a card. Make a wish. The rest, as they say, is history. Happy, messy, imperfect history. But theirs, always theirs, forever.